Ned and I also, I think, agree that ADHD comprises a much broader spectrum of a cognitive disorder than just difficulties with attention. As you know, he and I have talked about ADHD as being a disorder of self-regulation, and self-regulation requires the brain's cognitive abilities called the executive functions that allow us to regulate ourselves over time to address our future. And he and I share a belief in that. We also believe that the social and larger cultural environments are very important, not in causing ADHD so much as in determining, to some extent, comorbidity, say for depression or anxiety, helping to determine life course outcomes. The environment's very important as to the kinds of services or treatments you may or may not get, and those may, of course, determine impairments that you might experience. We also share a belief that the environment is important in the degree of impairment someone is going to experience, as well as the extent to which they may succeed with their disorder. After all, it's the environment that is providing some of the conflict for the individual, and it's the environment that is determining how impaired you will be and what access to services you might get, and therefore how well adjusted or how poorly adjusted you may be in having this disorder. So environments determine not just comorbidity and life course, but degree of impairment to a large extent. And finally, of course, as I've said, the environment does determine how much treatment you're going to be able to get, whether it's even available in your country or not. I'm talking here about the evidence-based treatments for ADHD. Dr. Hallowell and I both agree that the depth and the breadth of the symptoms of ADHD and their impact on major life activities can't simply be assessed in very short cursory office visits as might be done by typical primary care physicians or general mental health providers. It's going to need much more than just a 30 to 60-minute office visit. It's a complex disorder. As we've already pointed out, it involves comorbid disorders often. It involves areas of impairment. We need to understand the resources available to the individual. You simply can't collect all of that information in a very short office visit. And if you do, it's likely you're going to be making significant mistakes in your diagnosis and in your treatment planning. Finally, Dr. Hallowell and I agree that ADHD is associated with various comorbid medical, developmental, psychiatric, and other areas of impairment in major life activities in both children and adults. In other words, it's a very broadly impairing disorder. And we consider that to be quite serious. It's among the more impairing disorders that we see in an outpatient clinic